Hello everyone, how are you? Hope all are well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Assalamu alaikum. Today in this tutorials, we'll learn the Django REST framework tutorial, right? This will be a beginner guide to introduce you how we can create the API by Django REST framework. Okay, these are the topics I will cover, so how to you will start your setup while you are creating your project, how you can create the models and how we can do serializations. At the same time, you can do set up the URLs, and then you will see how you can view your API to the browsable, at the same time we will do the authentication, the user, which user can view and which user can delete, update, and all this stuff, how to add the endpoints to the user module, also we will add the required permissions to view the views, it's not everyone can view the your API, but everyone can view your API, but they cannot update or delete or the post, but only the required authenticated user, they can do all this stuff, basically the logged in user, they can update, delete, and create, and we'll see how we can the login part, to the API, and how we can set up your root API endpoints, well, if you have quite a lot of page, API page, how you can do the paginations as well, and so with this tutorial, you will learn quite a lot, and with the very simple and easy quick steps, you can create awesome browsable API, the whole objective of this tutorial, you can learn from the basic slowly go to advanced, the REST framework, Django, and at the same time, so you can progress your careers and learn new skills and create awesome stuff, but the whole purpose, the on this channel, you can learn the Python's basics to advanced, Django basics to advanced tutorials, and the Django REST framework, how you can create the API, so you will go slowly, and once you know all this, you'll feel confidence, yes, I can do something, I can go for interview, and I can apply for jobs and stuff, and this is where, the was used a Django REST frameworks documentations, and I didn't use that much a Stack Overflow for that project, but you guys, if you have a trouble, you can use the Stack Overflow, and this is my blog, this is my contact details, if you need to know anything, just contact with me. This is where my resource base, right? So let's get started, and please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to my channels, and this will encourage me to create more contents, guys, so it's paid me off my times and my energies and everything, and so let's get started. Okay guys, now we will see how to create Django REST framework API, right? So to do this, first we will set up initial setup, to do the project. Okay, so what we'll do first, I'm just going to open a new terminal. I hope you guys can see. I'm just going to make it a small bit bigger so that you can see what I'm writing. So first thing, we'll check whether we have a Python install or not, okay, so write it down, Python version dash version. Let's see, you have I have a 3.9.0 versions currently available, so what we'll do, we'll create a directory first, and inside the directory we'll do our project, everything, so mk directory, so REST REST framework tutorial. Okay, right, so inside this, so we go REST framework tutorials. Inside this, there's nothing there, okay, currently. So I'm going to open on the side by side so that you can see what's in there, so we'll open the open folder, the one we just created, so the REST framework tutorials, we're just going to open on the side. Excuse me. Right, so this is where I just created the folder. I'm going to open the terminal again, the one. Okay, so here we are now. I'm just going to make this small bit smaller, the screen, so that you can see everything here, what's happening. So now we created our directory. Inside the directory, we'll install our virtual environment and the Django's and REST frameworks, everything, so it's very good practice, to create a virtual environment. so that it will not interfere with your main setup. Like, you can, once you install the virtual environment, like, it can, once you create it, like, inside the virtual environment, think about it, the box, like, inside the box you can do whatever you want. Like, it's not going to interpret, it's not going to clash with your main setup. Like, so it's always good practice. Like, so I have already installed the virtual environment, like, but if you want to install the virtual environment, it's very easy and straightforward. Like, it's not a hard things to do. Like, so let's start by creating our very first virtual environment and installing Django. Okay, so to do this, like, so write virtual env, virtual environment, which is short form is the virtual environment, and give the name of the virtual environment. So I'll give the name rest virtual env, rest virtual environment, and -p python 3. Now, as you can see on the side of the screen, it's already created. Like, and from here you can see created virtual environment. Here you see there. Now, so now as you can see, if you do ls, write it down, so you can see the virtual environment. Like, I'm doing everything on the Mac. Like, so for the Windows will be similar. The command, like, it's not a but if you want to know the Mac, like, what the creating the virtual environment, just write virtual environment and give the name of the virtual environment. That's it. Like, you don't have to write it down the way I write it down, the virtual environment, the rest. Yeah, this is the name of the command, and this is the name of the virtual environment, and you don't have to write for the Windows, like, that command. Like, just this two line and these two things will do, like, do the virtual environment. Okay, right. Now so next we will activate our virtual environment. Okay, and once you activate the environment inside this box, then you can install the Django REST from everything. Like, currently it's not activated yet. Like, to activate the virtual environment on a Mac, like, you just write source and the name of the virtual environment, which is rest virtual environment, with the short form venv, and then going to the bin folders and then / activate. That's it. Now, how would you know that the virtual environment was activated? Like, when you see before your name, and this is the first bracket, like, the name of the virtual environment inside the first bracket, like, then you know that your virtual environment has been activated. Now you can do inside the virtual environment whatever you want. I mean, install different packages, things like, but if you want to deactivate, like, the virtual environment is very straightforward. Just write on deactivate. That's it. Now so the spelling mistake. Now it's done. You see, the virtual environment is no more active. So to activate the virtual environment again, just write source virtual name of the virtual environment, vin activate, bang it. Now it's activated. Now next thing, we will install the Django. Okay, the current version of the Django. So to do install this, like, just write pip install that's it. Now I'm going to install everything inside the virtual environment. Okay, so as you see, the successfully installed Django latest versions. So this is the current version of the Django, like, 4.0.3. Now next we will install the REST framework. So pip install Django REST framework. Okay, right. So now it's install current version 3.13.1. right? So the two things we have installed, Django and REST framework. Now next, what we'll do, we'll create our project. Okay, whenever you want to do anything with the Django, you need to create a project. Inside the project you will create the apps, like, you can create as many apps, but you has to first create the project, like, so we'll tell the Django admin the start project. Okay, so write it down, Django admin and start project. And what's the name of the project? Give them REST tutorial. Right. So okay, another thing I want to show you here, like, as you can see, like, when I create the project, like, the rest tutorials, inside the rest tutorial there's another directory which is called rest tutorial. To avoid these, like, I'm going to delete these, like, and so you don't need like a two directory, like, because I have to go again to that directory to get all the files, like, so to avoid this, like, just delete these. I'm going to delete now, and just when you just go up arrow key and just give a space and then one dot, that will avoid creating two directory, like, okay. So just for, like, for simplicity and, like, more easy to directory organize, like, you can do like this way. And next we create the project. Inside the project we'll create our apps, like, so telling again the Django, now we create the project, okay, and now we'll manage py file. I'm going to tell the manage py file to create the apps, like, so python.py start app, give them the name of the apps. We will create the apps for the REST frameworks API, so give them the name. Let's say we are developer, like, developer, okay. Python so Python manage.py start apps developer, okay. Now as you can see, here is the apps, right? So when you're writing the command, like, make sure it's the right spelling, like, because sometimes when you rush, like, write it down and you make the wrong spelling, like, anyway. So now we've created our apps. So now we have to tell the project, like, we created the apps, like, so go to the rest tutorials and open this setting file, and in here install apps, like, you just write it down that you created the apps which is called developer, right? And you also install the REST framework as well, so you're telling the project as well that you have also installed here, like, so save the file. Now next what we'll do, we'll check whether everything is working or not, like, so to check, like, we will start our server. So to do that, like, just write python manage.py run server, okay, boom. So now if you go to let's say if you write it down here 127, go there, boom. So now our apps and project, all the setup is ready to go, like, so everything is working, our server is running perfect. Now guys, so we're going to leave the server is running. We're going to open another the command prompt, and from there we'll do rest of our work as well, okay. So now guys, so if you're with me, if you have done all of this, like, you are well ahead, like, you can set up your project, you can set up your apps, and you can also run the servers and everything, like, next we will create our model. So the model is basically, like, is it will be connected with your database, like, because whatever the class you will create, like, the number of class you will create will be number of table inside the database, like, so you see, like, db.sqlite 3, this is the built-in database, like, this is for the development purpose, like, for the commercial purpose, though that's not gonna cover, like, because it's very small database, like, so now we'll create our model here, like, so to go to the developer apps and open the model files, and in here you would just give the name of the table, like, what you want. So give class the developer. Developer, okay. We just created the name of the app's developer, so we'll give the name of the developer a table, like, you know. And here we'll do models dot model, and inside there we'll give the some of the field of the tables, like, you know. So you can give the developer name, okay. So give them the first name, let's say models dot character field, first name. How many character fields you want to do? Let's say give maximum length 2 to 5, okay. So the same last name, models dot character field, give the maximum length. It's up to you, like, you know, how many length you want to give, like, you know, but 2 to 5 is enough, like, you know. So give the developer title. So title equal to models dot character field, give the maximum length, and leave it as it is, like in 2 to 5, like, okay. But I don't think so will be too long title for the developer anyway. So you can give the developer Python developers, Java developers, or like a backend developer, front end developer, like, you know, whatever. So title, okay. What else you want to give as in developer, like, you know, give them, you can give the email address, the date of birth and address, all this stuff, like, you know. But I'm not going to give more details like that, but you can just give them, like, you know, like experience, give them the models dot character field, maximum length 100, okay. Now, so these are the field will be created in the database table, like, you know. And anything else you want to give, right? So now we'll create the meta class, and you want to ordering of the table, starting from the first name, okay. First name, okay. And give them the magic method with the string method, but I'm going to modify these return. Just give them the only title, okay. Title of the developers. I'm going to take off these, right. Save the file. Now what we'll do now, because my daughter came in here, like, and I had to stop now, right. So yeah, we are creating the models, like, you know. So the model is a good place to start any new project, like, you know. So in the developer, like, you know, the models.py file will create a new model, okay. And this is the we created the model like a class developer, like, you know. And we give this some field of the table, like, you know, the first name, last name, title, the experience, like, you know. You can give like email address and contact numbers and all this stuff, like, you know. But like, you know, for learning purpose, like, you know, you are not going to go deep down everything, like, you know. So this is the meta class, like, you know, ordering, like, you know, starting the first the table columns will be like a first name to last name, all this stuff, like, you know. And then for the magic method, like, you know, or string method, like, you know, it will give you the sort of the object of the details, like, you know. So I'm just passing only the titles, like, you know. So now we created the models, and how you want to convert that models to a database, like, you know, to mega tables and stuff, like, you know. So then we have to create an initial migration file and sync the database for the first time, like, you know, to do this, like, you know. So how to do this, just write it down, Python, just go to the upper key, what is this, okay, Python manage.py, and then write make migration, right. Make migrations with S, okay. give it the name of the table. Okay, right, so we created the created model developer. Okay, and next you want to give the command migrate. Okay, right. Okay, as you can see, all the stuff was created. Okay, so we need to add some data into our model to make it real now, right? We can do it through the adding the data to the shell, like, you know, but for beginners or for the even professional developers, like, you know, it's more easier and friendly, like, you know, to do this through the Django admin, like, you know, which is a more intuitive approach, like, you know. That's what we will use here, like, you know. So, but first we need to update our developer man admin.py file so that the app will actually appear there, like, you know, just as with the installed app, the way we did in here, like, you know, telling the project, like, you know, this is what we created, app developers, and we installed the REST frameworks. And the same way we have to telling the admin that we created the model, like, you know. So how to do is we just to first we will import the model. Okay, what model is import our name of the developer, right? And next give this one some space, like, you know. Now as you can see, he's saying like register your models here, so telling the admin.site dot registered dot, which is a developer. Perfect. I'm gonna have to be a dot in here. Okay, save the file. Now we told admin that I registered the developers models. Now create a super user so that you can log in as an admin, like, you know, and follow the on-screen command, like, you know, what is asking, like, you know. So to do this, just write same python manage.py create super user. How easy it is, like, you know, guys. So create super user, right? As you can see, you can leave blank, but, like, you know, it's more friendly, like, you know, give the name like admin, password admin at email.com, password admin 123456, which is our private admin 123456, right? So we created successfully. Now if you go back to here and just /admin, boom. Now you can just write the username admin and password admin 123456. Now guys, how easy it is, like, you know, look at this. We've created our apps developers. Now we can add the users and you can add developers. They're going to add the developers, give them first name Mohammed Chaudhary, right? Titles software engineer, right? Experience, let's say give 7 years. Okay, right, and save it. If you want to add more developer, add in here first name Hassan, title, let's say Java developer, experience 5 years, right? Save it. This is how you can add as many as, like, you know, developers. If you want to add user, I'll add the user like a test user. Okay, test user, password testing, or password, what you gonna password test user 123456. I don't think so it will accept because it will be too common, like, you know, the username and password the same, like, you know. So we'll try. Let's see, save. Not now. You see the password, please correct the error below. The password is too similar to the username, as I said, like, you know, it's not gonna accept, like, you know. So what you're gonna do, let's say testing testing 1 2 3 4 5 6, testing 1 2 3 4 5 6. Not now. Look at these. Test user. Wow, with the password, guys. Look at this. Okay, give the password admin 1 2 3. Admin 1 2 3 4 5 6. Admin 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, save it. Not now. Perfect. Now, if you look at these, go to the view side. Admin page. Now we have this. We have actions like on the users, number of users, admins, and test user. There's and developers, like inside the developers, the number of developers, software engineers. Like these are things like we have added. Like now, okay. Now next, what we'll do. Okay. Now, okay, guys, are you with me? Like so how easy it is. As you can see, it's so easy. Like to do this, all this stuff. Like next, we will go to now REST API part, like so before you jump to the REST API, you have to do all of this stuff, like so next thing we will start serializations. So what is serializations? Serializations transform that model, the model we created here, that model instance into a JSON format, like this is the real magic that Django REST framework provide for us. Okay, consider that the end results of a traditional website is a page of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all this stuff, like both stuff, like it will appear, like from the database, like it will grab from the database and it will appear on your front end, like but the API doesn't care about that, like so the API stand for application program interface. So but API doesn't care about all of these, like it's only raw data at endpoints. So when you call, like the any APIs, it will show the raw data, like as a JSON format, like which means JSONs and some HTTP barb, like get and post or update or delete, like all the stuff, like and telling the API what actions can be taken. So we'll do bit of stuff now, like towards API stuff and stuff, like so so to serialize all of these, like model, like you have to create a file. You can create a file from here, right button, new files, or you can do in here the command prompt, right touch, and then go to the developer, okay, and write in the name of the file, give the name of the file is the serializers.py. now it's appear now here. Now to serialize the file, we need to import some of the package, like so right from REST, we install already REST, so with the REST framework, import serializers, okay, and next we will create a class, give the developer serializer, okay, and we will call the serializers dot model serializers, okay. So we're going to that model, we are going to and we give them the name of the class developer serializers, like which makes sense, like the name of the class is developer, so we're going to serialize the developer serializers, like and what you want to serialize, like give the class meta, right, and so the model equal to, which is developer, right, and what sort of field you want to serialize, like so you can do two ways, like but currently latest versions, like they support fields equal to all, like underscore underscore all underscore underscore. That means it will serialize all the fields, first, last name, title. But you can have write like fields like this. I'll show you there. Fields equal to, you can write it down like first ID, then first name, this is how you can do the last names, and then what else, experience, blah 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 blah. So now, I mean, instead of all of these writing down, you can, if you write fields equal to underscore all, that will do, so you don't have to write down anymore. That was the old way of doing, so now they updated, so next we need to a view that handles the logic of combining models, serializers, and eventually URL together, so we have created our models, and that model will serialize in here. Now we have to put the logic, and we have to create the URL to see in here, we'll create another we'll open another endpoints, and we'll see all this stuff magic. Now, so save the file, and just as traditional Django ships with several class-based generic views to handle common functionality, okay, so to Django REST framework has its own set of powerful class-based generic view we can use. Okay, so now we're dealing with the REST framework, okay, so specifically we will use list create API view. That class or that function which is responsible to create a read write endpoint, and that lists all available developers instance, and then we will use retrieve update destroy API view for read write delete endpoint for each individual developers, right? So to do this, we'll go to the view file, and inside the view file we'll do those things. Okay, so first we'll import our developer, right? Next we will import our serializer file. Okay, dot serializer import developer serializer. Okay, save it, and then we'll create the class, give name of the class developer list, and inside there we will create serializers or generic. Okay, we have to get the generic package as well, from REST framework import generics. Right, now save. So here we'll give generics dot list. I'm going to go to first list create API view. Okay, that's the one. And I hope I assume you guys know how to create the class and everything. If you're not sure, watch my Python basic and Python advanced series, I have there, so it'll be easier for you guys, to understand all of this, how to import all the packages and everything, how to create the class and the functions, all this stuff, so I assume you know all this stuff, so I'm not going to go explain everything, it will take ages, and the video will be quite lengthy, now we are concentrating how to create the REST API, the Django. Okay, so now we create the class, we import all the models and everything, now so query set, which will be developer dot objects dot all, get all the objects. And next we'll do the serializer, setting serializer underscore class. which will be the developer serializer. Okay, same thing we'll do. I'm going to copy that. Let's write a new class. Okay, class developer detail. All right, generics dot, which will be retrieve, destroy, update. So we have retrieve, update, destroy. This one. Right. Now same query set equal to developer dot objects dot all, and next serializer underscore class, which will be the developer serializer. Perfect. Now we created our view so that we can see all the developer list, and also we can see all the developer details, like, right? Next we will do our URL, like, so this is our developer apps, and this is our REST tutorials project. So this is the URL. Basically this part is called URL, like, the here. So you have to create the URL, like, to view our endpoints and stuff, like, right? So this is how, like, we see the create the URL, like a path admin, like, so that you can go to the admin URL, like, So the final step is to include our URLs in the topmost project level, which is our the REST framework tutorials in the directory. Inside the directory we have the REST tutorials. Inside the REST tutorials we have a urls.py file, and we need to include the as an import for the developer apps URLs, which will appear at the empty string, right? So write path empty string, which will include all the developer URL in here, like, so we have to get include as well. We have to import the include as well package. Okay, so now include the developer dot URLs, right? So you just write path as well, include as well. You don't need this one, you stop it. Save these, and the same way we need to create a file inside the developer another URL. The last time we created in the file in here in the command prompt. This time we'll create in here. So right button, new file, give the new file urls.py. Perfect. And inside there, you first of all you just import all the package. So Django dot urls import path. Okay, next we'll import the views. Inside the views, those are we have to create those URLs. Okay, so we are in here. So from developer import views, and then we have to get the URL patterns as well. Okay, from REST framework dot URL patterns import format suffix patterns. This is options, but it's a good practice to keep this package as well, like, now next we will get our URL patterns, right? And inside there we'll call the path functions, inside the path functions we'll call developers. You know what, we'll keep them developers with all the URLs, and then we'll call the developers, and in here we'll do views dot, first we'll get the developer list dot as view. Okay, same we'll go the as a detail. So now if you want to get a specific developer's details, so you get the primary key, use dot developer detail as view. Now we are all pretty much set, and the next we'll do URL patterns to format suffix patterns, URL patterns. Okay, including the format suffix pattern is an optional, as I said, is the choice that provides a simple dry way to refer a specific file format for a URL endpoint. So it means our API will be able to handle URLs such as like this. I'll show you there. Let's say you have a HTTP abc.com API. Let's say developer 2 dot JSON. This is how because of these, it will support this way if there's any API endpoint, or even write this without JSON, Okay, so I'm going to take it off these, save the file. Next, our big task to see whether we can see our developers, so next, here is another page. Go to the developer with S software can connect the servers. Did our server is running or not? Okay, developer.io. Let's see. Okay, pick up these and save that, and instead of just take up the S now, the console, and then run the server again. Right now, if you refresh the page, okay, now we have to take up the S. No, perfect. Okay, as you can see, we can see all the developer list here. The first one, remember, we didn't put any ID or anything, we just put the first name, last name, title, and experience, but if you don't put the ID, Django will automatically create the ID, and that will be as a primary key as well, so same way you can, if you do developers /1, it will give only the developer details, first one, perfect. Now guys, you have already created your API, first API, you can see the developer list of the developers, you can see the developer details as well, okay guys, look at this, how it looks, is awesome, now as you can see here, you can delete, you have the options, the get, JSONs or API, the HTML form or raw data, this is admin created, and you can put, you can update, this is how, wonderful, And without developers, this is where you can see, like, you can post let's say new sorry, Python experience 10 years, right? Posted. Wonderful. This is how you can even post. Look at this. Now if you go to all the developers, you can see how wonderful, like, you can easily post data, like, from here, like an API endpoint. And you can also options to see the JSON format, and you can also have this is JSON format, okay, and also to the API format. All right, okay guys, so you can see how easily you can do it, like, so the request and response part, like, what we'll try to explain small bit here, like, currently our API has no restrictions on who can edit or delete the developer, like, I mean, anyone can come back here, like, and post and delete all this stuff, like, and things, whatever they want to. Let's say if you want to get now anyone can delete, like, those things, like, they can do. Let's say why not delete, like, are you sure to delete this developer? Just delete it. Now it's gone. If you go back to developers, there's no more ID1, like, so just going to add again, okay. Software engineer experience, let's say 7 years, posted. Go to the list, as you can see. So what I'm trying to explain here, like, there's no restrictions who can edit or delete the developers, all this, like, endpoint of the API. In this section, so you will make sure that developers are always associated with the creators. Let's say I'm an admin here, like, I can create the developer, like, or if you are a creator, you can create your developer, like, you can put your all the details and stuff, like, only authenticated users may create, okay. Only the creator of a developer may update or delete it. So here I'm trying to, like, the authenticated user can delete, create, update. An unauthenticated request should have full read-only access. I mean, the person who have no account, like, they can only read only. They cannot delete, update, and they cannot do anything except reading, like, So adding information to our model, like, the first up, let's add 2 fields to our existing developers app in the model, like, where is the model? We'll create the owner, the model class owner, which will represent the user who created the developers, all this stuff, like, okay. So I'll do, excuse me, we'll just add one more field. Excuse me, what time is it now? It's 12:15 midnight. Okay, just create one more field, owner equal to models dot foreign key, which will be connected with the, we have to get okay, get the user, name, what you want to give a name, developer, okay, on delete model dot cascade, okay, save it. Now we have to update our database as well, like, because normally we would create a migrations and sync it to update our database tables. However, since we have added an owner here and have existing content, it's more simpler and easy to just delete the database and start again. Make sure you have stopped the server as well, like, so stop the server and create the same thing again what we have done earlier, like, creating the database, making migration, making migrate, and create superuser, like, it's very simple, like, and we'll show you how to delete the database as well, like, okay. I'll be back 2 seconds there. Okay guys, last night we stopped where we added the owner and the model, like, and I had to go upstairs and sleep, like, I wasn't able to continue anyway. So so the reasons we added the owner, so that we know who can do what, like, the unauthenticated user cannot delete, update, or post anything, like, they can only the visible, they only can read, and they only can read only, okay. So now, so the reason we add, because of we added the owner field, like, now we have to update our database, like, so to do this, like, what we're going to do, we're just going to remove first, like, the database, okay. So to remove the database, like, I'll show you where's the database. Okay, this is where our database, you see, db.sqlite3. so just to remove, write it down, db.sqlite3. see, it's gone now, okay. We'll remove recursively developer migration. Okay, now next we'll do the migration command, like, make migration to create the database, like, so go the python manage.py and make migrations. Okay, developer, okay. Now you see the created model, developer, you see, and next command we will do migrate. And migrate. No, it's done and dusted. We create our database. So now, earlier we created like super users and install the stuff, like, but that has been deleted. So we will create a new super user again, like, so just manage.py create super user and give the name admin, admin at .com, and password admin 123456, password again admin 123456. Perfect. Okay, now if you just run our server again, okay, seems all good. Now if you go to the admin page, okay, so give the password admin 123456. No, perfect. As you can see, all working. Okay, so you can use you can add the developers first name Mohammed, title software engineer, experience let's say 7 years, owner admin. Okay, you see that the new field we added the owner now. Okay, so and save it, and if you add one more field, let's say lesson title Java developer, expense 10 years, owner give them admin is created because this is the admin here. Okay, now as you can see there's logout options as when you have like so we're going to create another user. Okay, so just log out now. Okay, and if you go back to the here, just create another superuser. Okay, and give them the test user email address, test user at email.com, password, give them admin 1234566, admin 1234566. Okay, now if you go back to our page and if you try to log in again, we'll use a test user. The password admin 1234566. Okay, now as you can see inside as a test user there's no developer, like so if you want to add developer, add Ali Muhammad. Okay, title, give them Python, experience 5 years, owners is a test user, is a test user. Okay, save it now. So far we have done all this stuff. Now if you go back to our page here and if you write developer, as you can see we have 3 developers. Okay, and you can post under the test user, like and same thing you can do with the developer as well, like and if you want to check like number one is, you see, you can do all this stuff like now if you go back here you can log out as well. Okay, and if you refresh the page you see this is the moment we log out here, and in that page the test user has gone from here, like and but yeah, you can still as you can see you can still delete or put in stuff, like but we will stop that like in a minute. So we will shortly be adding a permission to our API so that only authenticated logged in user have access to those things. Okay, to do this, like adding endpoints to our user modules. Okay, if you go back to the user modules, where is serializer? This is where so now we okay, my daughter just wake up, I have to go upstairs now. Okay guys, I had to go to look after my daughter. Anyway, so when you have a family members, we have to do so many things, like anyway guys, all right, what I'm doing, okay, so now we have to adding the endpoints to our user module, like in the serializations.py file, so that we can recognize who is authenticated and who is not authenticated user, like so get another class which will be user serializer. Okay, and the same thing we'll call them serializer dot model serializations. Right, and with the meta class there we'll call them developer, which will be serializer dot user serializer dot primary key. Okay, that failed, and then inside there, which will be main equal to true, and where is that? filter developer dot objects dot on one here. So now that we have some user to work with, like, let's add some endpoint for them to our API. So this is what we're doing, like, the user serializations, like, class. And the next we'll create the meta class here, like, that will be the model user. User, listen to user. Okay, I don't. Excuse me. Fields all. Okay, we have to import the user module as well. Okay, so for authentication purpose, from Django contrib.auth.models import user. Perfect. Save the file. So this is what we have done. Create the class user serializations. So because developer is a reverse relationship on the default Django user module, okay, and it will not be included by default using the model serialization class. So that's why, because we need to add an explicit field for it. Okay, and we also need to add 2 new read-only views for a list of all users and a detailed view of the individual user. So note that we have we use already generic class-based retrieve API view in here, whereas you see we created like earlier, like a developer list and developer details, which is a list, create API view, and retrieve, update, delete, destroy API view, like, now in here we're going to use, like, retrieve API view for the read-only detail view, and we import both users and user serializations at the top as well for that in here to create the view for the users, like, so first we'll import those required stuff, like, from Django and contrib auth module models import user, and we already import the generics, and we need to import the user serializations. Okay, so copy that, paste it here. Instead of a developer, it will be user serializations, that file, that class we are going to import in here in the views. Okay, save that. And the same thing, the way we did like a developer list, so we'll add developer details. So the same thing, we'll create the user detail, user list, and we'll call this generics dot list API view, in here list create API view. We're just going to go into the just only view only, like, for that's why we call the list API view. And same with the query set. I don't need this query set to user. I need to call the user first. User dot all the objects of the users, and get all functions. And next we'll do serializer class underscore. This convention, like, serializer class to, like, give the different names, like, so with the user serializations. Okay, and the same thing we'll do for the detail. Okay, just copy that, paste it here, and instead of list API view, we'll got the retrieve API view, because you want to get a specific user information, so you're going to retrieve, like, and so That's all. Like, you just need to change from list to the detail. Right, save the file. Right, to just save all of this. Now we have to update our URL as well. Like, so finally we need to add a new view to the API by configuring their URL roles, like on the user list and user details, like, and so you have to use the developer URLs. We're going to add in here that's user part as well, like, so path, which will be the user, and the views dot user list as view. Right, the same thing we'll do for the detail as well. Path users, specific user, so primary key integer, primary key, views dot user detail. Where is that? Detail as view. That the functions. Right. So pretty much we're set. So now what happened? Like, currently there is no way to automatically associate the logged in user that created a developer with the developer instance. Okay, so what we can do, we can set this automatically by overriding dot perform create functions method on our developer views that lets us modify how an instance is saved. Like, so if you go to the views, and there is a developer list here, and here we're just going to add the functions. That's we'll do, like, our the thing we are trying to perform, like, so this is what that functions, the perform create method will modify. So this method automatically accesses the logged in user. Like, sorry guys. Okay, so currently there's no way to automatically associate the logged in user that created a developer with the developer instance, right? So how we can do this? We can set this automatically by overriding our perform create functions method. Like, you can sell method or you can call functions on a developer views, like, so just create a perform create functions, and I'm going to override these functions, like, so to do this, like, which we want to change these, we want to put serializer dot save method inside the save, which is the owner of the creator, like a owner, which will be the self dot request dot user dot user. Save this. Now we have to update our serializer now. Okay, so where is our serializer file? Okay, developer here, developer serializer, so you can model serialization. So we need to add this now. WN owner equal to serializer dot read only field And where the source is which should be owner dot username. Okay, save the file, and we did the user serializations. I did the fields all. Okay, so now here you can see you say that the source argument used here to control which attribute is used to populate a field and can point to any attribute on the serialized instance, right? Also note that we are using the read-only field, which is always read-only. It cannot be used for updating model instance when they are serialized. We could have also used the way we did like a model character field, like, you know, we would have is in here character field and read only equal to true, like, you know, in here serializer dot character only read only field equal to true. This is what you can use, like, you know, but that's fine, like, you know, you can use this way. And so now this part is done. So we did the view part, serializer part. Now adding record permissions to the view, like, okay. Now that our code developer are associated with the user, okay. So that view, there's a developer list and there's a user list in here, like, you know, we have this. So we want to make sure that only authenticated user are able to create, update, and delete the whatever he or she can do, like, you know, on the developer apps, like, you know. So Django REST framework ships with a number of permission classes we could use to restrict access to a given view. Here we can use like is authenticated or read only the functions, like, you know, just calling that functions and that will do the magic, like, you know, to ensure that authenticated requests have read write access or our authenticated requests only have the read only access. To do this, like, you know, so we're just going to add in the user list, okay. So we just need to add did the platform create functions. Same, we're going to add in here the serializer class, developer serializer. So we're just going to permission classes, right? This is the one looking for. So just call to import the permission as well package. So permission with s dot is authenticated or read only, okay. So is, you know what, I'm just going to first import the permissions, like, it will be quicker, like, you know, it will give me the hints, like, you know, so instead of writing, so just delete these dot, you see, giving more options. Is authenticated or read only, this is the one, okay. Same thing we'll do in the developer detail as well, okay. Just copy that line, paste it here, save the file, and navigate to our browser API page, and if you go to that page, where is that, here. So if you just now refresh the page, was it saying, like, you know, type error, base permission meta class object is not iterable. What's happening? Let me check, guys, okay. Let's see our server is doing, like, now. It's type error, okay. There's something not major, like, you know, only type errors, which is the base permission meta class object is not iterable. Okay, guys, problem solved. What happened, it was the reason it didn't work, like, I didn't put the comma in here, like, let's say I'll show you there was errors. So save the file, and if you go to the page here, and if you refresh the page, it will give me the type errors. You see the type error, base function class object is not iterable, like, so the reasons it gave me that error is like, the I didn't put the comma in here, like, so it should be a comma here, and then save the file and go back to our API page view, and then if you refresh, like, with all the developer list, like, and so since we are locked out, like, notice that, like, we cannot update now. You can post or put anything, like, you can just kind of read only view, like, in order to do this, you need to log in as a user, like, so we can add a login view to the browsable API by editing the URL configure in our project level. Okay, so to do this, like, just go back to, and this is our apps developer, and this is our project REST tutorials, like, inside that URL we can add a login view to the browsable API by editing our URL configure. Okay, so just to add, like, after admins, just add the REST framework path, which will be the API auth sorry, and then include, which will be the REST API, okay, REST framework dot URLs. Okay, now if you save the file, note that the actual road used does not matter, like, instead of API dash auth, we could also have used something else, like, you can put different names in here, like, the important thing is that the REST framework dot URLs was included. That was the very important part, like, that's okay. Now if you go back to our browsable web page and refresh the page, you'll see the login page in here. Well done. Okay, so now we can log in. You can do as an admin, or we have created test user as well, like, so admin 1 2 3 4 5 6. You can see now admin user, then he or she can post the data, and you can delete and all this stuff, like, and we can log out from here as well, and you can log in as a test user, the one we created earlier, and the password was admin 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, you see, guys, now these are so simple, like, you just need to follow the step-by-step guidelines, and you can create awesome API, like, and if you can follow all of these, like, no matter what sort of API you can create, like, just concentrate the steps, like, and you'll be flying, like, okay, guys. The same thing, so now what we'll do, we'll create kind of object level permissions. So what it does, like, really what we would like is for all the developer stuff, like, to be visible to anyone, but only the user that created a code, that created the developer, can update or delete it, like, so Django REST frameworks gives us several options for setting those permissions, like, so at a project level or view levels or the object level. In this case, we will implement the last options, which is create a custom permissions we can add to our the developer detail view class. Okay, so go back to developer detail, this class, and adding the permissions here as well. Okay, just create another permission class. Okay, so we'll create a new file, the touch developer, give the name file permissions.py. and now if you look at this here, the file is here, and first we will import the package from REST framework, import permissions. Okay, next we create a class is owner or read only. Okay, and inside there we'll call the permissions functions dot base permission. We'll use that functions, so we can do like, the base level, view level, or object level, like, so give the functions call has object permissions, that functions, and so we'll do refactor that functions. Just write if request dot method in permissions dot save methods, then we will return true, or else we'll return the object dot owner equal to requested user, and we're going to delete this part. So next we will add a new customs permission to the developer detail by importing it at the top of and including it in the permission classes. Okay, so what we'll do excuse me, is authenticated, and another one we call is read only, is owner or read only, because you have already imported the permission import is only, read only, that. Okay, now if you open the browser again, now you'll be able to see the delete and put all the stuff actions, like, okay, so you see that you can post now. Just if you go to specific user and just to log out the page and log in as an admin 1 2 3 4 5 6. Up now, as you can see, the admin, he or she can delete, and options, no, I don't want to delete now. So this is where he can put new information updated, like, and JSON. You can see the JSON format, you can see the API format. Okay, so logout, login as a test user, the password is admin 123456. You see, this is how, let's see, who will do number 2, number 3. So the test user, he's the owner of that developer, like, so that he can delete, like, you know, you see, he can update and stuff, like, you know. But let's say if you go to 2, which he did not create it, like, you know, he or she, so he wasn't able to update or anything, like, I'm just going to read only, like, you know. Another thing we can improve our API here, like, you know, as you can see that currently there are no endpoints for the developer and users, so we don't have a single endpoint to our API. To create one, which is very simple, we will use a regular function-based view, and the Django REST frameworks built-in at API underscore view decorators will do the magic for us. Okay, so if you the view file and just add a functions here, these are all the class-based function. Now we'll create the generic class-based function. Now the function-based one view. Okay, so we'll import a few of the package, like, you know, so from the REST framework, decorator, import a response, from REST framework dot response. Okay, response, import response, and to do reverse as well. REST framework dot reverse, import reverse, and next we'll do decorator from REST framework dot decorators import API underscore view. Okay, now we'll create our functions. Okay, def API underscore view, and inside there a request format to none. On the top of this, put at API view, and inside there, what sort of pubs you want to use? You want to use a cat, like, okay, that, okay, and what you want to return? Return a response. Want to use the user reverse, which will be user list. We'll add this in the later on the URL, like, you know, user list. Okay, user list, request, request format, go to format, same with the developer, The reverse would be developer list. Developer list. Request equal to request, and format equal to format. Next, we need to add a URL at the empty string for API root, and since we are using the reverse, we also must add named URLs to each existing view. Okay, to save that file, go to the URLs. Okay, so that URL, and we use the as a view, and then we have to put the name equal to developer for list. Okay, same thing, we use like a developer detail. Detail, same, will do the name will be the user list, user detail. Okay, and the last thing we're gonna add the root API. Okay, path empty string will be views dot API view will be root. Save the file. And if you go to the root page of the API, you'll be able to see, you know, kind of server what's happening. Syntax error, DPL up here, request developer list, request line 18. Let me check what's happening. Views 18. Okay, there's something wrong in here. Let me check what's happening here. We have got API root. It should be API root, not API view. Okay. API. Okay. This is where we're gonna put the comma in here. The only thing was issues. Now this is our root API. Okay, so you can want to see user, you can see all the user. If you want to go to all the developers, so the developers. Okay guys, this is so simple, like, you know, you can follow all the steps and you can create awesome API, like, you know, by Django REST framework. So we'll improve our API, like, you know, adding the pagination. So basically, like, you know, there's only 3 developers here. Like, you know, imagine if you have a more developer, you have to scroll down, go down all the way, like, you know, instead of you can add, like, you know, page 1 2 3 4 5, like, you know. And so kindly so that's it makes sense to limit the number of developer display per API endpoint, like, you know. So in that case, like, you know, when you add the paginations, you can see specific number of user, like, you know, instead of going all the user, like, you know. So let's paginate the result so that the API clients can step through each of the individual page, like, you know. So what happened? REST framework ships with a number of default settings which can be easily customized. We'll set a default paginations class and a page size to either 5 or 10 or 15, like, you know, although we could easily customize things further as desired, like, you know. It depends on developer, like, you know, their choice, like, you know. So at the bottom of the setting file, we'll minimize this. I'm just going to add one bit of line. So this is our installed apps. This is our home middleware, templates, database, static URL. So one thing we're gonna add, this on the bottom of the page, just write REST underscore framework, REST framework. Okay, and add those bit of line here. Default pagination class. Come on. Can you see? Okay, will come now of the P. It's not coming. Yeah, no, it isn't coming out. Alright, so default pagination class. How many page you want? So the REST framework dot pagination pagination dot page number. Page number pagination. Okay, and next we'll add the page size. Okay, how many page size you want? Give them 15. Okay, so if you add more, let's see if we change to 2. Okay, currently we have a 3, like you can see 3 developer. So if you refresh the page, you see the end of page number came 1, 2. This was I'm trying to show you, like so now if you go back to page number 2, there's only 1 here, 3 here, 2 here, like so it depends on how many developer you want to see, like so this just one piece of code, like it's implement, like quite lengthy process, like for you guys, like but I showed you my Django basic to advanced tutorial, like where you can implement, like your web applications, how to add paginations and stuff, like but you can do this as well, like and so I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, because within a very short times we create, like very simple and easy REST frameworks API by Django. Okay guys, now you have seen how you can create easily the very simple steps, number of steps you can take, and you can create awesome Django REST frameworks API, like with incredibly small amount of code. You have now a complete web API, which is a fully web browsable. Okay, which is a fully web browsable, and you can go to the admin part as well, like this is just log out and log in again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see all the developers, like and the users and everything. This is the admin part, like and this is where the REST API part, like so you can pull all the data and everything. Okay, so which is a fully web browsable, which includes the database driven client library, which we created like a developer as a model, like and it comes with a complete with authentications as well. Okay, so you can authenticate yourself, like who can view and who can delete and who can update, who can post and everything, like and object permission as well, and the multiple render formats, right? So we have walked through 8 steps of the design process and seen how if we need to customize anything, you can actually and gradually work your own way down to simplify using regular Django views, like So I'll put all the code to the GitHub, like you can fork the code, and you can modify, you can update, and you can add more database and stuff, like you can implement more awesome stuff, like I'm going to create more awesome stuff, like so please guys, my humble request, subscribe to my channels, and that will encourage me to create more awesome content for you guys, like and which also paid me off, like my hard works and everything, like and another thing, like I don't know everything, like but I'm trying my best to show you guys, like how to do all this stuff, like so I hope you enjoy, guys. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channels and the tutorials, and there's a number of tutorials available, like you can learn the full Git and GitHub's Python basics and advanced, and Django basic to advanced tutorials, like and this is the Django REST framework tutorials as well, like so I'm going to create more awesome stuff, like so please do visit my site and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye bye.